This is our open toe foot. This particular version is obviously metal, but it's 9mm stitch width with the slot in the back for IDF as well. So this one goes with the designer Applique 2. We do a couple of other versions for 7mm. That's the clear open toe foot for 7mm, and we do a metal version of that too. So what do we use this for? Well, one of the great advantages is, of course, the fact that you've got lots of visibility at the front. It's also much shorter front to back than a conventional foot. So if I put an A foot next to that, you can see how much longer the A foot is in comparison to the open toe foot. And that makes the open toe foot much easier to get round curves and corners without lifting up the presser foot. So let's give this a go. There's lots of different uses. Because you can see better, you can have a lot more control over your work and the result that you're getting. Plus, of course, if you're doing something like a tapering stitch or something like that, where you really need to see where the taper finishes and ends, you can see that really easily. One of the other ones that I use it for most often is applique. Now, here's something I made earlier. You can see there's a couple of bits I haven't gone round yet, but I've picked a pin stitch or a blanket stitch to go around the edge. Now, these can be quite difficult to get around quite tight turns, so having the extra visibility on the open toe foot is really helpful. And because this is quite raised, this foot has got the channel underneath like our B foot to accommodate things like satin stitch, where it might be a little bit domed on the top and it may catch under the foot if you're using one with a flat back. So I'm going to show you just how easy it is to use this. So I'm going to do the little heart. We'll start, let's get just that in the right place and press needle down. Okay, so we're ready to go. And honestly, the control over this is brilliant. So if I start to sew, now even with the foot pedal I can do half a stitch at a time. I'm just flipping the foot pedal now, so I've got lots and lots of control and I can see exactly what I'm doing. So I can just begin to turn this slightly now to accommodate the change in that shape. I'm going to turn a bit more. I'm just going to turn a little bit more again, so you can see how easy that is to get round these corners. And obviously if you've got a machine that doesn't have the sensor system and doesn't lift the foot up for you, the fact that this can turn much easier means you have to lift the foot up less yourself to get it round the corners. Right, it's getting quite detailed now, isn't it? Quite a tight turn there. Needle up. I'm just going to snip those ends off. I will bring those to the back eventually, but you can see how precise I've been able to be with that. I'm now going to do the eye. Now that is pretty tiny, isn't it? But let's have a go at it. So I'm just going to press my stitch start over button, make sure I start at the beginning. I'm just going to drop my needle down. Right, okay, I'm happy with that. We're going to go really, really slow with this, but you'll be able to see what a lovely finish we can get. So that's just doing the lock stitch at the beginning, and I can make sure that the bits of the blanket stitch or pin stitch that point inwards always point inwards towards the centre. And again, if you've got any sort of foot that had a bar across the front, this will be much more difficult, because judging exactly where this needs to be pointing would be obscured. I wanted. And again, I pull all these threads through to the back, but let's just snip that off. See how easy it was to do that. So that's the open toe foot. So lots of uses for decorative stitches, tapering stitches, applique. You could do a satin stitch applique with this, which in the case of this, the Applique 2, we would remove the IDF out of the way, because we'd be working with a stitch length of probably less than 1mm, where that doesn't really come into play. So there we go.